everyone. This is Joshua Howell. I'm the development specialist here at HETRA. We've had a lot of people asking about what our plans are about eventually reopening the campus and restarting sessions. So we thought we'd do this kind of video meetup to talk about that. But first, let's introduce everybody that's on the call here. Edie, why don't you start?
Awesome. My name is Edie Cotton, and I am the Chief Executive Officer here at HETRA. And we are really excited to get back to our programming and have our participants and our volunteers back on site. So excited to get going in the process.
And Katherine?
And hi, I am Katherine Smith, and I am the program manager for HETRA. And yes, we're all very happy to be able to finally look at getting some participants back. But we know that there are a number of questions that people probably still have. So we would like to present some of those, and we'll give you the answers that we have at this point.
Yeah, so we have a good variety of questions here that we've prepared for this video. But if there's anything that we don't cover that you'd like to know, you can reach out to us just at HETRA, or hetra@hetra.org, and send in your questions or reach out to us on social media or any of our other contact methods. But let's get started. Edie, so our first question is basically just what has been happening at HETRA, at the HETRA campus since programming has stopped. Back on March 13th is when we first kind of announced that we were going to be closing our campus and suspending sessions. It's almost been 2 months to the day, at least today, for that. So what has been happening since that happened?
Yeah, so our full-time staff went and started working from home, and they've been working really hard to develop a lot of great content, from webinars to short videos and a series of story time with the minis. We've had a lot of great virtual programming opportunities that have been happening. As far as the facility itself, our critical staff here, our operations manager as well as our facility manager, have been hard at work keeping our facility, our horses going and ready to go for our participants when they're ready to come back, along with a small group of dedicated volunteers that have been helping take care of the horses and making sure that they're ready for our participants to come back.
Great. Well, that leads into our second question, which is what are the plans so far to bring back our participants to the HETRA campus?
So at this point in time, our goal starting next week, May 18th, is to bring back a small group of our independent riders. So those are people who would not need horse leaders or sidewalkers assisting when they ride. And after them back for a week or two, we will start to phase back in the other individuals from our program. So the next step would be adding the horse leader. We're hoping to progress to those that need sidewalkers by the week of June 8th, and then back with our therapy participants the week of June 22nd, and then hopefully have everybody, including our life skills, our carriage driving participants, back on site by the start of Course C, which would begin on July 6th. And of course, we want to remember that this is all dependent upon what's happening, and we are really ready to be flexible and to change the schedule if it's needed. Obviously, the most important thing for us is the safety of our participants, our volunteers, our staff, everyone here who would be coming to site.
Yeah, I think that's very important. This isn't a rush decision. We're certainly taking a lot of factors in to those discussions, but yeah, it's very exciting to see what could be happening in the next couple of weeks. Katherine, let's go to you for the next question. What should participants know before returning?
Well, we are certainly going to need for people to look at this a little bit differently than they have in the past. Prior to this COVID thing, people were just able to come out to the barn when their schedule, when their time was scheduled, and walk in the barn and do things as we had. And now we have to look at things a little differently. First of all, we had sent out a survey to the participants. We actually sent them to volunteers and to staff also, to give us some information about how you are looking at your return to our facility. So we certainly ask everybody to fill that out. You should have received that in an email, and it's going to be very important for us to have that information as we make our plans for moving forward. You should have also received a COVID release, and everybody, participants, families, staff, volunteers, everybody needs to fill out a COVID release before you could come into the facility. So please do that ahead of time. We are going to have everyone using a separate helmet. So if you are not able to purchase your own helmet, let us know. There will be a little bit more information about that later on in our discussion today. Please be ready to wear a mask. Initially, we're going to have everybody wearing masks. All of our volunteers, all of our back barn people, certainly our participants and therapists and instructors, everybody will be wearing a mask. Also be prepared when you get to the facility. We will be having people stop and answer the questions that are being asked at every medical facility in town. So just so you know, that will be happening here too. We are a medical facility. We are providing therapy. So that's the way we want everybody to look at it.
Well, that's a lot of things to take in. You listed off a lot of things. I do have a couple follow-up questions. The COVID release that you mentioned, is that something that people need to print off and bring in physically, or email that in, or what is the preferred method of sending us that COVID release?
So for us, using the link that we provided in the email, and if they need that resent, we're glad to do that. But they can just go online and do an electronic signature for us, and that's an easier way for us to process it. If they are not able to do that, we will have some available on site. Obviously, that's going to take additional time. So we're hoping that as many people as possible can get that done ahead of time.
Great. And then one more follow-up question. With the mask, is there any certain type of mask that is required, or is it like with most shopping centers, as long as you have some type of face covering, or what is the preference there?
We would like to have everyone use some kind of mask. We're certainly not insisting that they wear a medical mask at this point. If they have a cloth mask that fits them and they are comfortable using, that's fine too. And I believe we will have a few masks available if people don't have them. But we would prefer, partly because of expenses, we would certainly prefer that people bring their own.
Okay. Good to know. Well, let's move on to the next question then, Katherine. What does entry into the facility look like now? Obviously, it's going to be different than what it was in early March. So what can our participants expect?
Well, our participants have been used to entering the barn on the east side. I'm sorry. They've been used to to entering on the west side and not coming in on the east side. And now we're going to ask you to come in on the east side. The reason for that is that is close to the bathrooms. And so there will be somebody stationed at the door. They will take their temperature of everybody that's coming in. We will ask them the health questions. And then once they have cleared that, they'll go into the bathroom and wash their hands. One of the things that we're going to ask everybody to do is to use hand sanitizer at that initial station, so that when they go in the bathroom, their hands are already sanitized. But then we want them to wash their hands. The 20-second hand washing is expected, and there should be time for that. And then someone will direct them to the area where they're going to be for the rest of their programming.
Okay. And this next question is hand in hand with that. Who can come into the facility with the participant? Are there changes now or any limitations that our family should be aware about?
Well, we would like to have just one person with that participant. Prior to this, we've really enjoyed having siblings and other family members, grandparents, friends, but due to all the other restrictions that we have, one person coming in with a participant at a time, and that person would also be subject to all of the questions, the temperature taking, requests for them to wash their hands, all of those things, wearing a mask, all of that would be required. Now, if the person doesn't need to come into the facility with their participant and they would like to return to the car and sit there, that's fine too.
Okay. Well, for our participant families, I understand we're listing a lot of things here. Please don't feel like you have to memorize them. Our staff on campus will be more than happy to help you out, and they'll, be very patient with you. So we appreciate your patience and understanding with these new procedures. Let's go back to Edie. What is being done to clean and sanitize the facility? I mean, obviously that's a big thing going on right now. What things are going on right now to keep it clean and sanitized?
Well, as we had stated previously, we've already implemented a policy of wiping down and sanitizing any frequently touched surfaces in the facility, and we continue to do that. As we have more people to return to the facility, we'll increase how often those surfaces are being cleaned. As Katherine mentioned, we are going to be requiring everyone who enters the facility to wear a mask. And we have set up several hand sanitizer or sanitation stations throughout that contain both hand sanitizer as well as wipes. And we'll be working with our volunteers and our staff and our participants to really understand how we will properly sanitize and clean between participants and then throughout the day while everyone is out at the barn. A big part of that also is going to be to make sure that everyone is maintaining that safe social distancing. So as they enter the facility, making sure they're giving that person that 6 foot or maybe even a little bit space, because we're going to be asking some questions. And so give people that space to come in. It may take a little bit of time to get through that process. And then while they're waiting, making sure that they're giving space. We're also going to really make sure that we only have a few people in some of our waiting areas and our volunteer areas so that we're limiting the number of people in small spaces.
Okay. Well, and I think this next question goes hand in hand with that. What will you be doing to sanitize the tack and equipment and everything that's used for these sessions?
Right. So we've looked at some new lead ropes that are made of a different type of material that can be more easily sanitized, as well as reins. And so we have ordered those and ordered additional ones of those so that things can be sanitized and allowed to sit between participants. We'll be using a hydrogen peroxide type wipe to wipe down our tack in between use. And participants. Again, everybody's going to have their own mask on, so that's going to be helpful in the spread of germs, as well as their own helmets. So that's going to limit the amount of again, exposure. Any equipment that gets used by a participant, we'll be only using those things that can be wiped down after use. So things we like to use, beanie babies, sessions, those types of things we are going to put away until such time back out, so that everything that's used during the session can be sanitized in between each participant. And we'll be encouraging people to keep the same equipment. So our volunteers, when they pick up a wand, we'll encourage them to keep the wand throughout the time that they're there at HETRA. When they put their wand away, there'll be an area there that they can go ahead and sanitize that wand and put it away. So really encouraging people to keep the same equipment so they're really only touching things one time and not being touched by multiple people.
Gotcha. That sounds like a smart plan there. For those listening, you may have seen on our Facebook that we have asked if you have disinfectant wipes or hand sanitizer or antibacterial soap that you are willing to donate to HETRA. If you have some spare in the closet, or if you happen to see any at the store. I know there's limited quantities out there right now, but we would greatly appreciate that. But if you're able to. So, Katherine, let's go to you for the next question. When should volunteers return to HETRA? They're obviously a different group of people, and we rely on our volunteers a lot at the HETRA campus. So when should they think about returning?
Well, we're going to do that in stages, actually. And I think, obviously, if we're only going to bring participants back initially that don't need sidewalkers, then certainly the number of volunteers will be significantly reduced as we're getting started. So we'd like people to be patient. I know everybody's really wanting to come back to the barn, but we need to limit the number of people that are in there initially. So we've got a core group of folks that have been coming out. They're used to the routines. So we'll be starting with them. That's not to say we're going to limit ourselves to that group, but our volunteers will be getting notified as we need them to come back in. But again, this will be a gradual process, and as we add participants, we will add more volunteers. So they will also need to be able to wear a mask. So if there's somebody that's wanting to come back, but it can't wear a mask for some reason or other, they'll need to let our volunteer coordinator, Rochelle, know that. And she'll just put them with a list of folks that are going to wait. We ask that people really think about their own risk factors as they're coming in. If they feel like it's safe for them, that's great. If they feel like they're at a higher risk, and I know some of our volunteers age-wise are in a higher risk, we respect that. We want people to stay safe, and we want them to come back when they feel that they're ready and things are right for them. So everybody has to make that decision on their own. Or if you have questions, feel free to call us. We'll certainly help you identify those risks.
Alrighty, well, let's circle back to the participants. What if a participant is not ready to return when we have opened up their category?
Well, for our participants, if they feel like they're not quite ready to come back, we want them to stay as engaged as possible with us through the things that we've talked about earlier in the presentation. We have the things online that they can do. We'll be going over with each participant what their risks are, so that we have a risk assessment form that we'll be going over with each of our participants, so that we can help them decide whether they are in a higher risk category or not, or if the benefits of being here outweigh the risks for them. So again, that will be done on a very individual basis.
Okay, and then for our families, what happens if that participant is ill?
Well, we certainly want the participant to stay home if they're showing any signs of any illnesses, and we will work with them to adjust the billing policy to fit with and accommodate this transitional stage, returning to programming. And I'm sure that Erin will be happy to talk to anybody if they've got concerns or questions about those things.
Okay. I think we've covered a lot there. Let's go back to Edie for the next question. Since HETRA is requiring participants to have their own helmets, what if a family or participant can't afford a helmet?
So if a family can't afford a helmet, we have a couple different options. So at this point, if we have a helmet in already that we can assign to that participant, that's what we'll do. That fits them and fits them well. So we will sanitize that helmet, and then that helmet will be assigned only to that participant for use. Nobody else will be using that helmet. It will be stored in a sealed tote, plastic tote at the facility with that participant's information on it, and be, again, only for their use.
Okay. And how does one order or know where to order a helmet, and what size and the type and everything like that?
So that's a place where Rita can be very helpful, actually, in either of these situations. So if you can't afford a helmet and we need to assign one to you, please reach out to Rita, either through her email, rita@hetra.org, or through our main number, 402-359-8830. And she can guide you through the process. You can also, most of our participants connect with their instructors or therapists. They can connect with their instructor or therapist as well and ask them what size and what recommendation they might have for a helmet. They should be able to help guide them through that process.
Okay. And I think we're coming up on the last major question here. What if, you know, the family or the participant is just not ready to return to sessions? Is there anything else that is being offered that HETRA has that they can participate in until they are comfortable to come back to our campus?
Yeah, so we are really going to continue to offer our regular webinars that we've been doing. We have the HETRA University section on our website. So if they go to our website at hetra.org, they can find all of the HETRA University resources out there that can be easily accessible. They contain things like worksheets, short videos, story time with the minis, and long form webinars. Some of those are past recorded webinars that they could listen to, and some are upcoming things that they can participate in. And we sure encourage everyone to utilize that resource. I think it's interesting and gives them something else that they can do while they're waiting to return. We also want to let people know that you know, we understand that not everybody's going to be able to return at the same time, and we are going to work with everybody as we add more and more participants to the schedule. We will really work hard with everyone to try to get them back into their regular writing time with their regular instructor or therapist as often as possible, because we know that those connections are really important, and it's important to continue that. So that is definitely one of our goals as we move through this process.
Okay, well, I want to thank you two for taking the time to go over these questions. Like I said at the beginning, if there's something that we haven't covered that you'd still like to ask HETRA, there's plenty of ways to reach out to us. You can go onto our website at hetra.org and find all of our individual contact emails. You can reach out to us via Facebook, or just email hetra@hetra.org. You know, for those that are coming back to our campus, you're going to be seeing some big signs and some other things on the barn. These are not really to alarm you, but just to help you understand everything that we're doing here. And we do miss you, and we do look forward to you coming back, and our staff on site will be ready to assist you as needed. So thank you for taking the time to watch this, and we look forward to seeing you at the barn soon. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.